You beautiful soul, and welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with Rebecca Munoz, your host and founder of Cultured Society. I am here with yet another special guest of mine that is here to join me in a collective conversation, a conversation that I have been having already with quite a few guests. And as you can tell, if you have been following this journey already, that although the questions are all the same, it is a different conversation every single time. And the panel of guests that I have brought to these conversations are people that I have lived life with in different phases of my life and that have brought so much inspiration to my life, as well as making waves on this planet. My special guest today, Zoe Vickers, is a person that I have known for 16 years. And it seems as though we just met yesterday because time is just flying by. And this woman is doing so much in her world and inspiring so many people to live creatively, more abundantly, and just in divine purpose. So I want to start off by introducing the beautiful Zoe by giving you a little introduction of her background. So Zoe is an empyrean whom enjoys long walks on the beach, and when she returns to her blanket, something classic happens that connects her to nature. One may say that the serendipitous odyssey is most known in fantasies, yet she embodies this reality today. Zoe Vickers gives you a glimpse of her journey as a vintagephile and creative development powerhouse. Born in the Midwest between Ohio, Columbus and Toledo, and Chicago, Illinois, her childhood reflected mainly on art and style, with her fondest memories including vintage and thrift shopping. On a typical Saturday, Zoe would find herself venturing out to Sally's, a colloquial term for the Salvation Army, to find hidden gems as it pertains to fashion, found objects, books, shoes, records, etc. At this point, her love for style was born. Zoe's inspiration came from her granny, Rachel Lee Cox, and the enchantment of constantly creating, educating, and refining helped her to develop a style and aesthetic that is truly her own. When one sees photos of Zoe's work or attends her events, you will see a strong interest in not only her personal style, but the essence of her community now and ones within her coterie. The early start of Zoe's career led to a road assisting style shoots for the likes of Wiz Khalifa, the Cool Kids, and others, to styling Samuel L. Jackson for Ebony magazine. Her eventful journey all started from the long walks on the beach as an empyrean. As a freelance creator, Zoe has cultivated extensive experience in vintage fashion styling, visual campaign management, art direction, brand image development, style archival services, and event styling. Her work has been featured in publication titans from WWD, Elle, Crown, Lucky, and In Style magazine. The client roster includes Opening Ceremony, Samuel L. Jackson, Vera Wang, Band of Outsiders, Wiz Khalifa, The Cool Kids, SE Canada, Michael Bastian, HBO, Sophie, the Alette, Harlem's Fashion Row, and Yigal Azrael. Currently, Zoe is focused more on her personal collective, Vintagephiles. In order to be a vintagephile, one must denote fondness and flawlessly execute all things vintage. This multidisciplinary platform is being polished further to be able to share these stories globally. The PH provides the opportunity to collaborate and provide an outlet for vintage curators and collectors, particularly people of color, as a way to cultivate culture and share the true definition of curated nostalgia. Thank you so much, Zoe, for joining me today on this collective conversation. It is an honor to have someone as special and divine as you on this platform today. I have so many memories, so many memories with you living in Chicago and
Yeah,
doing styling shoots, video shoots, and just having fun at parties with the cool kids and a lot of the people that we had the opportunity to live life with, as well as in LA. So thank you
Right.
again for joining me today.
Of course, of course. Thank you for having me and inviting me onto um this phenomenal platform that you're sharing with your community, with your coterie. So if anyone ever is like, what is a coterie? Um Dictionary, Google it, get your life. And it's Coterie. So get your life. Anyway, but thank you so much for having me this afternoon on a Saturday after I have been actually it's 111, make a wish.
Yes.
So whenever you encounter an angel number, if you see it, you need to take that moment to stop whatever you're doing because your guardian angels they have a message for you and you just need to take that moment. That's 60 seconds. Even if you see it and it's 111 in 30 seconds, take them 30 seconds. Just take that time. But anyway, sorry. But yeah,
And
sorry.
Zoe currently resides in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But when I reconnected with her, she was in South Africa. And so it was really exciting to reconnect with her when she was on the mission doing her work. And it's so beautiful to see all the collective stuff that she's working on currently. So I want to start off by asking my very first question that I have asked every single guest on this platform. And although we are all so uniquely designed, I believe that we are a part of one body and we just have so many different, life philosophies, experiences, perspective, belief systems, but we can come together on this platform and share those experiences and philosophies that we have and just learn from each other, embrace these concepts and take these little nuggets of wisdom and maybe not necessarily adopt them as our own, but understand that as a collective, we can embrace these concepts and just respect one another and just really encourage each other to rise. So with that
Right.
being said, Zoe, what is your life's philosophy?
Um, my life's philosophy is so this is what I always say about myself. I am grace and glass, right? So I'm always going to allow not only myself but people who I encounter, whether they be my friends, family, or a stranger, I'm always going to give you that grace because you never know what someone is attending to within themselves within that moment. And sometimes I fail because I am a Pisces slash Aries, so sometimes I have to tap into the Aries side of me because you tried it. 6 feet back up off me, but anyway, that's the glass. That's the glass part of me. Because again, like some people, because I am an empath and an empyrean, and I allow people to experience their lives based on whatever their journey is, based on whatever their philosophy is. Sometimes that journey, that philosophy that they are dealing with um does not mesh with mine, and I'll give you that grace, but don't try it too many times because I will give you the glass. So that is my life philosophy. At the end of the day, it's all about that balance. Because honestly, um, one thing that people need to understand is their shadow self,
Mhm.
and then that forefronter self, and you have to embrace that shadow self because that shadow self can at times protect you from people taking advantage of your kindness. So that is my life philosophy. Part of my life philosophy, and also is people never see me coming. because they're like, "Oh, you from Ohio?" Da, da, da. I was like, "Okay, okay, that's cool, that's great." But let me show you that I know a lot, and I do share that knowledge with people, but sometimes I just have to sit back and just be like, because you never know. Sometimes you can't stay in this space where you're like, oh, I know what's best, I know what's best. But sometimes you may have to evaluate what your thought process is around something, because you never know where you can um pull in what someone else has experienced and what someone else has shared with you to pivot or adjust a little bit. And also maybe you don't adjust at all, you just kind of see where that person has ventured and journeyed into. So that's my life philosophy. Have grace and glass, and people never see me coming. So there we go.
Mhm. And I can definitely attest to that, because I've definitely had the opportunity to see you in different phases of your life and to evolve into the woman
Right.
that you are today through experience. So how would you say that that philosophy has evolved through the years?
That philosophy has evolved through the years, again, from being able to, like I said, sometimes we get so pigeonholed in like, oh no, this is what it is, this is what it is. But then it's like, hmm, maybe I need to like look at this experience a little differently. Like take the ego out and like really like look at what is this experience, what is this person, what is this journey, this component of this journey trying to teach me right now, right? So I would say in my 20s I was kind of like, you tried it. You still get you tried it even in my 40s. Yes, I'm a young 42, honey.
Yes.
But anyway, um but no, like in my 20s, basically every phase of my life, I'm always going to level up. I'm always going to make a very conscious effort to compete against the person I was yesterday. Because that's the only competition that I recognize is the woman I was yesterday. So
Yes.
always remember that what's meant for you, meant for your lane, is meant for you. Stop looking in someone else's lane, because that's how you crash. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. There is no other competition but the one that you see in the mirror. It's that reflection looking back at you. And it is really important. And I'm so glad that you said that, because we live in a society where everybody is looking at what everybody else is doing. And when you
Right,
stay in your own personal lane, that creates your own personal power, and you're able to really allow your purpose, your divine purpose, to unfold for you and no one
right,
else.
right. Yes.
How would you say that your upbringing and circle of influence has impacted the way that you think and live your life today?
Well, growing up in the Midwest, with a mother and a father like Raylon and Curtis Smith, rest in peace, Daddy. Um, you know, they always instilled in us um, to follow your own path. My mom is the oldest of 11, so yikes. And her dad was one of 16. My dad is the only boy of three. And I never got a chance, unfortunately, to meet his mom or what have you. She died before I was born. But anyhow, what they instilled in us, about following your own path, um, making your own decisions up, and like again, these are your parents. The whole philosophy is like do as I say. I'm not to say that some of that did not go down, because my mom is very much um a deaconess, hold my mule. So, all like she's very Christian, very Baptist, but in same capacity. Because like I would, when I was younger, I'd be like, why are we still in church? It's 3 hours long. What? Like what? But anyway, but follow your own path. As well as when it comes to like the path that you're on, the trying to live the life that you're on, like your financial literacy. Like one thing that I honestly, I miss you, Daddy, so much, Pops. I love you, but I wish I could have adopted or could have inherited his Beacon score. He had a damn near perfect FICO, score. So those type of life lessons, because it's just like when you have that financial freedom, you could literally move in any type of area in life. Like right now, my fiance and I are on this global citizen journey. Like he's still in South Africa right now. He comes home on Tuesday. I'm gonna get him pregnant. But anyway. But we are on this global citizens journey because we both have always wanted to do it. We're both the youngest out of our siblings. So yeah, and he's 10 years younger than me. I gotta keep me a young stallion, honey. But anyway, we both always wanted to live outside of the United States, and to be able to be on that global citizens journey with the love of your life it hits different. But when I was a little girl, like growing up in Toledo, growing up in Columbus, even times in Chicago, like I was just like this, especially like I would say that especially Toledo, Columbus is just like because people there get so like, oh, I'm just gonna get a government job and I'm like, that's no shade for if that's your journey, but that's not what I want to do. And honestly, I will say that some people are inspired by that, and some people unfortunately are envious of it and the way that they try, and I say try, they try to handle me. And I'm just like, that's what your truth is in that moment. That person's truth is in that moment, but I don't have to accept that for being mine. Right. Absolutely. So that honestly is again comes from how my parents raised us to be. And I am the youngest of biological siblings, the youngest of 3, but altogether the youngest of 5 siblings. So yeah.
And how has that because our circle of influence is so important, and I know for myself it's really changed over time, especially because I've moved around so much. And
right.
I mean, I'm the youngest of 4, and I come from a Mexican traditional culture where we don't leave, right? And we get married right after high school, if we do go to high school, and
high school. Oh, yikes.
You know what I mean? Like we have kids right away. And, so I didn't take that traditional path. I did the complete opposite. And, through my experiences and through my moves, my circle of influence has changed so much. And even, putting myself in environments where I have had to learn, financial literacy the hard way. I've had to really adopt like new belief systems through just putting myself in those environments where I am in elevated places, and there are people that have a lot more experience and are very well-rounded. So with your moves and even stepping outside of your traditional culture, how has that really changed and evolved through the years?
So like I said, like my mom is very, very much deaconess, hold my mule on the Rock of Zion Baptist Church type of woman or what have you. My dad was more of a spiritual guy, and like going to, being a little girl and going to church and being in church for 3 hours. Because again, that's just shenanigans to me. But anyway, and honestly, like reading the scriptures and like seeing how people in the church, like I'll be like, but aren't you supposed to love your neighbor? But you over here like being a jerk to Sister Isabella. So Sister Isabella's outfit doesn't, she doesn't make your approval because of that hat. Like I'm like, what? Okay. But then like meeting people who are Jewish. I have Jewish friends. I have Tareem grew up Muslim, and he like, so now he's evolved into practicing Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? And I like, my high school was one of the top recognized high schools in the country, even by the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania, but we're not gonna go there. And you know that food, first of all, I knew this was gonna happen. Sorry, side note. But you know that they acquitted him yet again. I knew it was gonna happen. I'm not surprised, but you know, it's whatever. Anyway, you know, going to Fort Hayes. Fort Hayes in art you have to be chosen to go to this school. It's an arts and academic high school. It's on a old military base in Columbus, Ohio. And like meeting, I will have to say this, going to Fort Hayes really like made me recognize that some of the things that I've seen up until the age of 14, you know what I'm saying, and experience is like, oh, that was very limiting in like how my life was going. So, you know, having gay and lesbian friends in high school and like sticking up for them, and people who unfortunately, you know, were trying to come for them because they're like, oh, that F word that I will never use. But I'm like, fam, like, don't get it twisted. Like, again, that glass, I'm gonna come for you. I'm going to come for you as it relates to people who I care about, even if it's a stranger and I see that y'all trying to bully that person, right? But anyway, so that started evolving even before high school. That started evolving, and then like going to college and, you know, beginning that journey of leaving Ohio, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, moving away from what the traditional sense of who I'm supposed to be. Like, oh, you're supposed to get a government job, or, you know, I went like my first journey into college was at the University of Cincinnati, going to get my law degree. But I always knew that I wanted to be in fashion, and I was like, I told my dad was an artist, so he understood where my thought process was with it. Mom, on the other hand, was like, you need it. Okay, relax. But again, she's the oldest of 11, so it's a different type of, you know what I'm saying? So their thing was a yin and yang, because he's the youngest of his siblings. My mom is the oldest of her siblings. So it was just a different type of, but anyway, so honestly, like, it just, it's evolved. Like, I'm just even thinking back on, I'm like, damn, it has evolved a lot since I was a little girl. You know what I'm saying? And it's it's elevated me into different opportunities and different experiences that allows me to be in Johannesburg for a month during a global pandemic with my fiance, and not being afraid of being in Johannesburg as an African American, because apartheid ended in 1994, fam. So just think about, like, you got to think about like when slavery ended. Slavery is still here, but anyway, we're not gonna go there. Just imagine, what is it? It's 94, so that's 27 years after slavery ended, being in a place, like being in, I don't know, let's say Atlanta, Georgia. 27 years being a Black person in Atlanta, Georgia. Just think about, you know what I'm saying? And like, honestly, I actually encountered this guy. It was two things. First of all, this fool gonna try and tell me because I didn't have my ring on, And I love my ring, by the way. It's gorgeous. Thank you, baby. Anyway, he was like, why aren't you? He said, because he knows my fiance. He knows Tarim. And he was like, why aren't you wearing your ring? And I'm like, I'm looking at him like, mind the business that pays you, first of all. And I was like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I just came down to concierge to, but again, I didn't go too in depth with it because why am I explaining myself to a stranger? You
Right.
doing too much. But anyway, so he says to me, and this is something that happens a lot, unfortunately, in certain enclaves of Africa, certain countries in Africa, what have you, where he was like, well, if I wanted to, and just listen to what I'm about to say to you, if I wanted to, I could take you. I could have some of my family and friends to help take you and make you marry me. Now, he didn't know who he was talking to. This is where the glass came in. I'm a retired Air Force staff sergeant. And this is what I said to him. I said, I'm a retired Air Force staff sergeant. And I said this with a smile on my face because I wanted him to get that grace, but then get the glass. I know how to harm you without leaving marks on your body. The girl at concierge was like, what? Don't do me. Like, you're not going to basically say you're going to exact violence against my body and think that shit's sweet, fam. But unfortunately, some women in South Africa, and I've met a few of them, and I had a conversation with one of them about this conversation. They don't feel empowered to be able to be like, fam, you tried it, back the fuck up. Like, no, I'm not doing that with you. And he was just like, don't get, fam. And when I told Tarim about it, he had to pull this, I had to go back upstairs to get my wallet. He came back downstairs because I told him what happened. He came back downstairs, pulled him to the side, and he apologized to me, but he had a condition on said apology. He said, but here, it's tradition. Fuck your tradition. You're gonna basically say, take a young girl or a woman, against her will to marry you because that's what you want to do. You got it fucked up. Sorry, I know you. They're gonna be like, okay, she cussing on the show. Hold on. So I'm at 7%. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Sorry, guys. So
I love this.
I gotta check. Let me check the other computer. They're gonna be like, Lord. I wasn't ready, guys. Like, let me see what this is on.
This is okay. This is a part of the culture talks because people need to see how different
this
cultures,
is at 60%.
yeah, how we live.
So this is at 60%. No, because like I had, so just let me give you guys a little background. You're not just looking at my boobs. Sorry, guys. They're like, daddy. So I had a viewing of the Judas and the Black Messiah last night here at our house. And we went until almost 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, I'm still somewhat jet lagged. So I slept in a lot.
What day did
So
you get back?
What
day did you get
back? I got back last Tuesday.
Okay.
But it was a 23.5-hour flight. And jet lag can last anywhere between 7 to 14 days. So it's not as bad, but also like I'm trying to pull up so I can pull up so I can go directly into back in here. I have basically been making myself sleep when and I'm also I'm an insomniac too. So hold on, I'm about to come in on this computer.
Okay.
So let me just turn this camera off real quick. Sorry, guys.
The unexpected events that happen during live recording, but this is amazing because we get to see an insight in people's lives. Uh-oh. Let's see. There we go. We get an insight in people's lives, and the average the average day of a human being who is just doing their thing. Let's see.
And I'm back, honey. Listen.
All
Here we
right.
go. That was
So
she like that low key was seamless. You know, I had her, she did a little commercial, honey. So anyway, so so that type of experience, I would have to say if I'd have gone to South Africa, because one of my homegirls actually went to South Africa in 1998. She was 17. And if I would have gone, and I would have been 20. So if I'd have gone in 1998, I probably wouldn't have been able to have that type of conversation with that man. But
absolutely.
going there at 42, yeah, I'm gonna have that conversation with you because unfortunately, I encountered a few men who were somewhat dismissive of me because I'm a woman.
Mhm.
Um, being in South Africa, the patriarchy in there is not awesome. It's not awesome. But though that small majority, not majority, that small minority of men that did try to engage with me in that way, first of all, glass, they got it. Um, the majority of the men that I experienced were very much respectful to
Mhm.
me, and it wasn't like, dismissive or have you. And that, I don't know if I'm hoping that's something that's embedded within them naturally, and not the fact that I'm an American and I'm with Tavi. So,
Mhm.
but ain't humble. So that's my answer.
You actually you said something and then you didn't continue on with
What
what
was
you
it?
said
Yeah.
about the whole us being in slavery here in America. And I really think that it's important for us to have this conversation, especially because we are both women of color
Hmm.
and we have had experiences. Like I was just telling Darius in our segment this week about how my mother 36 years ago, when she was pregnant with me, was picking cotton.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's still very prominent in our society today with people of color. And even though there's a lot of times where people don't like to talk about it because it's uncomfortable, but it is a very important conversation to have, especially within our uh cultures, because it is a problem. And I believe that, even though we are different in color, in philosophies, religious backgrounds, age groups, whatever, I believe that it is important for us to look at each other as though we are the same,
Right.
and no disrespect, and to be able to, even during a global pandemic where a lot of people live in fear, to change your perspective and to be able to change yourself in order for you to not live in that reality. Because you, I'm sure, have experienced a lot of discrimination, just like I have, with the
Right.
color of my skin and the way that I look, and even being a woman. I've had men catcall me and be so disrespectful just because they think that they can, or because I look a certain way and I'm not going to defend myself. And oftentimes I don't really, I just ignore it and I don't take things personal. But, you can mess with the wrong person and you can definitely have a very different reaction to things. So even with your line of work and who you are as a person, how do you believe that you infect our society with positivity, especially because we can definitely live in a world where it's very negative?
I guess for me, being from the Midwest, like when I first moved to New York, um, this is just an example. When I first moved to New York, New Yorkers and are not, some of them, they don't say hello. They can be a little rude or what have you. But like I didn't change that part of me because of my environment, right? So, for me, because you never know what someone may be dealing with in that moment. I want to give them that kindness, even if it's just a smile. Um, even if it's just me saying hello, even if it's me, going like, because you've never lived in New York, right? You never
I
lived in New York.
visited, yeah.
Okay. So like getting on the train and you see like getting on the A train at my old stop on Utica. Um um this is before they had the elevator. A young mother with a toddler and a child in a stroller and having to go down those stairs. And everyone's just walking past her. And mind you, I may be and possibly I'm going to an appointment, going to meet a client, or could just be going to Trader Joe's, I'm gonna be like, let me help her. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that that kindness, that's that little bit of that small thing could mean the world to someone else. So I try my best to always have that type of energy. And sometimes, sometimes I do fail. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like doing it. But I would say 95%, 98% of the time, I'm gonna give you, but it's, again, I am human.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna beat myself up about it, but I'm also going to try my hardest to make that percentage go from 98 to 100%. But again, like I'm a human, like I'm not a fucking Stepford wife. I'm not a robot. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Absolutely. And even how would you think, or how do you feel about the line of work that you do? Because in the fashion industry, and I know this is my own personal experience and one of the reasons why I decided to transition out of the fashion industry, but what
Mm-hmm.
you do, and I've seen your work, I've seen, a lot of what you've been able to put together, and there's so much artistry in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you separate yourself from the superficiality that we experience oftentimes in the fashion industry to what it is that you're currently doing?
Um, I never take myself too seriously. So a lot of, the fashion world takes itself too seriously. And I'm like, fam, it's just thread. It's just a piece of fabric, you know. Um, like on the 11th, it was the 11-year anniversary of Alexander McQueen, Lee Alex, because so people who don't know, his name was Lee Alexander McQueen. It was the 11-year anniversary of his death or what have you. And, he was a tortured soul. I didn't know him personally, but he and I are born on the same day, March 17th. So I still am very much connected with his work, his artistry or what have you. But I'm sure some of the challenges, some of the demons that he dealt with is because people wanting him to take it more seriously. I'm like, it's just clothes. It's your art, but like, don't let it take so much away from you where you feel you're empty. You know what I'm saying? So, and because I lost my childhood best friend not last year, in 2018, May 1st. And like Kenji would call me, that was her name, or is her name, because I try not to say was. Um, Kenji would call me in the middle of the night, at 3 something, 4 something in the morning, and just to talk. And I would always answer her call, and I wish she would have called me that night, But you just never know. Sometimes the universe, the creator, is like, if you can no longer carry this, And it took my friend Tanya, sorry,
It's okay.
because I was mad at her.
Hmm.
It took my friend Tanya to help me to understand she couldn't carry it anymore. Lee couldn't carry it anymore. And again, if someone is experiencing that, that's one thing that I do every morning when I do my meditations, when I do my affirmations, when I do my prayers, is I have that moment to say, if someone can no longer carry it anymore, that I hope that if they do need to leave, that they are no longer in pain anymore.
Absolutely.
So sorry, you guys. You see you're seeing the Piscean side of me right now.
Absolutely. This is such a
Um,
beautiful thing. Yes.
but yeah. So you just never know where someone may be. So that's why I try my best to always give that kindness, to give that grace.
It
Yeah.
is so important. It is so important. And you know what? You said it earlier about you're human and you're going through different experiences every single day where oftentimes you find yourself in situations where you can't seem to give that grace because you're in a place where maybe you don't understand or you've had your own difficulties, and it's almost like you just react. And this is why it's so important to really take the time to self-reflect, self-assess, know who you are as an individual even when things get really tough, and understand that everybody is in different places of their life. And this is why we're having these conversations, because I know a lot of people, especially now in this day and age, are really struggling and understanding who they are as individuals. And I love connecting with people like yourself because we've experienced so much change and so much
Right.
abrupt change in our lives. We haven't allowed ourselves to stay in the box, the perimeters of the boxes that a lot of people live in, right? So when abrupt change does come, that they don't even know what to do with it. You know what I mean? And so it is
Right.
really important
Right.
that we understand that change is happening every second of the
Every
day
day.
around us.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
up to us, it's up to individual, like our individual practice, to understand that if we don't change with this change, nothing is going to change, and that we're not going to continue to evolve, and we're not going to continue to grow into our divine purpose. And
Yeah.
when we understand that about ourselves, we also understand that life and death is a very it's a cyclical thing. It happens every single day.
Right.
And yeah, it really gives us an opportunity to give ourselves grace, to
Mhm.
feel what we're feeling, to allow it to flow out of us, and then so that we have the capacity to have that space, to give that space to other people.
Right.
um it's such a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable. I
No problem.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
um how do you believe that you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person?
Um, I guess never apologizing for who I am. You either get me or you don't. And I've been like that since I was a little girl. Like I'm considered somewhat of a black sheep of my family because I was just like I love art. I love um, different types of music, taking risks, going on those adventures or what have you. Um, but I've been like that since I was little Zoe. Since I can probably even before I could probably walk, I was like this. And that's why my parents probably were like, Lord. um, So I just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just who I am. I can't. I can't explain it. It's just who I am. I've been like that since I was a little girl. So
Throughout the time that I've known you, in the 16 years, I can honestly say that you have always remained true to who you are. And even though the evolution has happened, which is a very natural, progression as
right,
we, go through our journey, you are who you are, and you've never apologized for that. You've been very honest and truthful, and you just do you, and that's such a beautiful thing.
yeah,
We honestly need so much more of that, because we have a lot of people that are trying to be a cookie cutter of someone else. Like, that we even go through neighborhoods where all the houses are the
look the
same,
same.
people
Yeah,
do the same thing, people look the same. And a part of our society is the importance of cultural diversity, and understanding that everybody has a unique blueprint, that
right.
people look different, people have different roles. And when you understand that, you can definitely create yourself in a way where you stand out. You know what I mean? And your work will reveal itself through the daily actions that you take. And I definitely see that within you, which is one of the reasons why I asked you to be a part of this conversation, because you are Zoe and no one
Yeah,
else.
I'm Zoe, no one else. And like, um, even like, cause Zoe's my middle name. And when you met me, I was more embracing my first name. We won't, because again, only person who can call me by my first name is my mother.
Mhm.
And I will, I've had people who've known me for years, previous to when I started to use my middle name Zoe, more like this is 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, that basically were saying to me, well, I met you calling you by your first name, like I'm gonna keep on, then I'm not gonna answer you. And they thought I was playing, and like literally be looking me dead in my face, calling me by my first name, and I'm like, so it's like you thought that, no, like I will always be, no, 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 no. It's like you have to be, at the end of the day, you have to be truthful to who you are,
Mhm.
not not someone else's version of who they think you are,
Mhm.
right? So, and that's potentially attributed to the fact that I am the youngest, and I have seen the stuff that my brothers and sisters are looking like, oh, y'all doing it that way. Nah, I'm gonna do it different, fam. I'm gonna do it a little different. Yeah, okay, you gonna do? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be over here, fam. All right, all right, all right. So yeah, so I just, I don't know. This is, and I don't apologize for it either.
Yeah, no, and it's important for us to even as individuals that are dealing, because we're always exchanging energy with people.
Right.
And so, and we're going to exchange energy with people that look completely different than us. So
Mhm.
it is important for us to be able to embrace and respect, because at the end of the day, it is really about respecting other people's identities, other people's space,
Right.
other people's philosophies. And again, maybe not adopting it as your own, but really respecting people's everything,
Journey.
and
Yeah.
acknowledging them for who they are. And if you want to be called by a specific name, then gosh dang it, call them by a specific name. You know what I mean? And that's really, it boils down to respect, compassion, empathy, kindness, and just giving people their place on this planet, because they may not, look exactly like you or have the same philosophies, but we all have our own right to those
Right.
opinions, philosophies, belief systems, and all of that. We would definitely live in a much better place if people abided by that, right? Where we just respected people as they are.
Yeah.
Do you believe that your work that you do every day is aligned with your calling and higher purpose?
Yes, I would say that. Like I've had the Clark Kent. People always like, what's a Clark Kent? Like, think about Superman. Clark Kent was Superman's alter ego. Superman was born Superman. He had like he literally he his not costume but his armor. Um that's who he is, right? Clark Kent was his alter ego. So um having an alter ego, aka a Clark Kent, like yeah, want to be responsible, financially responsible, and all those things. But in the same capacity, me pouring energy into someone else's dream, someone else's, what I'm saying, legacy doesn't feed me. So I have to honor my art. I have to honor the what I want to say, have to honor the superpower that the creator gave me,
Mm.
by doing vintage files, by you know having these conversations that I have on the curated nostalgia with one of my best friends, Shantae, with writing this coffee table book, with about to start producing the mini series for Vintage Files. Like it's super super go time right now, because again, having this Clark Kent wasn't feeding me, other than like the financial side of it. Like, trust and believe, like the money is good. Yeah, no, the money is good. However, I'm like, I'm like looking on my computer like, this shit boring as hell. Like, but I'm like, but when like I said, like I had to switch from one laptop to the other, like literally would have both laptops up, work, what I'm saying, doing stuff on Vintage Files and then doing stuff with the Clark Kent or what have you. But I'm like, now it's just like Vintage Files only. And if I do take on another Clark Kent, I I would literally have to be aligned with someone in my coterie. You know what I'm saying? One of my best friends has a project that she's starting. She's actually already in the process of it right now. And I will work with her on that. But again, I believe in her as a CEO. I believe in her as a leader. I believe in, her vision of how she leads all of the businesses that she's had. Her and I, again, she's one of my best friends. I've known her since 1993. You know what I'm saying? And that is the type of Clark Kent that I would embrace and do, because that is my community. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? That's my coterie. So rededicating myself to my art, to my calling, to, what I'm saying, what the creator has given me, it low-key is a no-brainer. And I have to have more, or I do have it, but it's like it was moments where I didn't have as much confidence in believing that and knowing that this is going to be something that happened. Now I'm just like, you got to just fucking do it, period, fam, because all you could do is do. And like, I've always been like this, but I'm saying like, just go ahead and do it, because even if you fail, you know that you at least taken that opportunity. You just need to pivot to, what I'm saying, go another way. Because it's like people who've been like, I remember when I was working at Verizon Wireless, this is so I worked for Verizon from 2001 to 2006. So I worked for Verizon for 5 years. And this was during my, no, this was this during my training. it's either during my training or I was training someone else. But this woman has been in in the position of being just a level one customer service representative for 10 years. And I was asking her, I was like, you never wanted to go after a different position? She was like, no, because this is easy. And I was just like, but that's her journey. But in the same fact, I can't be stagnant like that, fam.
Right,
A
right.
be like no like Verizon's a really really good job, and like even every year you get a 40%, yeah, 40% bonus every year on top of your raise. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the money was good, but I'm looking like, but if you've been here 10 years, you literally could be head of a department and have way more money. But again, she didn't really care about the money. She was thinking about her peace. But
Sure.
but in that same capacity for me, I just can't be stagnant like that. Because I would get bored. Like
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah. So anyway.
Well,
So
everybody, I believe that everybody has their specific journey, right? And if we didn't have those people that worked at Verizon for, 10 years or whatever, we wouldn't really have consistency with our service. So there are people that play specific roles that are meant to do those
yeah,
types of
yeah,
things. But,
yeah,
it's really important to, as a creator, and knowing, right, that we are architects of our life. We are
yeah,
the creators of our destiny. I remember
yeah.
my father comes from 13 brothers and sisters. He's the second oldest. He lost his mother giving birth to his youngest sister while he was
No.
here in the United States working, and he came by foot, right? So we
Oh,
don't come from a lot of money. We don't really, come from what society standards would call, wealth, right? But it's so interesting that coming from a man that doesn't have anything or didn't have like the financial prosperity, not even an elementary school education, for
mm,
him to always instill in me that we are the architects of our destiny. I was like, okay, so if you didn't have all the opportunities that I have, then how much more can I do with my giftings?
right.
And the thing is that we were created to be above average. We were created to come here to live life more abundantly. What that looks like to you is really up to you to create, right? But for myself, and I know for you that you've, been able to travel the world, move to different places, have different career paths, create your own creations and your own vision.
Right.
It goes to show that, we have the ability to do that. It's really a choice.
Yeah. I mean, and this is one thing I always say. I say this to Tyrene, be like, baby, but abundance is your birthright, fam. Like, don't ever, never, because some people they always like, oh, well, it's not gonna work out. I'm looking like, don't have that mindset, because when you as soon as you think it, the universe is going to turn is going to return it to you tenfold. So just know, and even like again, like I said, you could fail, but you just know what to do the next time. Because even if you're like, oh, I'm not gonna get it, da, 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 next time, like, maybe I should have a different thought process around it. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And failure is, I don't really like to use that word because I believe that there is really no such thing as failure unless you just completely give up on life. And even then, that was just a part of your journey, right? But I believe that failure is just information for you to be able to do something different if it didn't
yeah,
work out the first
yeah,
time. And the
yeah,
more that you do it, the more experience you have. One of my favorite quotes is every master was once a disaster. You know what I mean? You get to really self-assess and you get to evaluate and self-correct in the process so that you can master whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And
right,
that only happens through action and experience.
true, yeah.
How would you say that you what practices do you implement on a day-to-day basis to stay more grounded and stay connected to your creator?
So like I was saying earlier, I do my affirmations
Mhm.
and meditate and pray pretty much every day. You know, sometimes I do fall, you know, sometimes I fall short of it, and sometimes um when I do fall short of it, it's just like, oh, even if like I just wake up and like, oh, I got moving, I'm like, stop, take 2 minutes to thank the universe, thank your ancestors, and set the intentions for your day. So, and it just makes me slow down and just gives me more balance for my day. So, that's honestly what I do. That's what I do. Is, you know, as well as um getting like, you know, be like right now because you know, we're working from home, and I'm basically like this work from home thing. This isn't new for me. Like I've been working remotely for 8 years. So welcome kids to the remote. But anyway, getting outside and connecting with nature and getting that you know, the vitamin D on your skin. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know, getting out of the environment that could potentially be like someone making you depressed, or just like I'm tired of looking at, you know, looking at like his I love this my dresser, like it's a vintage um dresser that I got from, oh, they went out of business. Anyway, but seeing this every day, like yes, being able to wake up to it every day, but sometimes like, okay, I need to go outside. I need to walk around my neighborhood here right outside of Lamert Park here in Los Angeles. But like that's what I do. Um and that's what I would encourage to anyone, to set your intentions for your day. Take that time to walk through your affirmations, pray, meditate, um, drink water too, honey. Drink some water. Um, and you'll have a and get outside if you can. If you can, like I know, well, you're in Mexico, but I know like in Ohio right now it's cold. Nobody want to go outside, but like just, you know, go outside for a couple minutes. You ain't gotta stay outside. But no, like those are the things that I do.
How has that practice changed for you? Because you had mentioned earlier that you came from a Baptist background, and so it was like predominantly you go to church to stay connected
Hmm.
to your creator, and you know it is more of a ritual that people do because they think that if they go to church that that's the way that they connect to God. But it seems as though your spiritual practices have really evolved through your years, through your experience and your maturity.
Hmm.
So why did that change, or how did that change from you going to like thinking that you had to go to an actual, you know, facility versus creating a spiritual practice around your everyday life?
Well, one thing that I always say to people: what do Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, um, and all the different entities, what is the one thing they believe, what is the one thing that they all believe in? What would be that word?
Love.
There it is. So, and wars have happened because one side is against the other side because of who that side believes in, you know what I'm saying, who they worship, what have you. So um and also honestly, like it's a lot of, you know, and it's no shade to, you know, Christians, Baptist church, all this other thing or whatever, but it's a lot of shenanigans and a lot of contradictions and a lot of just uh not well, blocks that happen in the church that people just like. I have several gay and lesbian friends, and in the church, unfortunately, they, they're not being respected and not being embraced like they should be. When I'm looking like, aren't you supposed to love your neighbor? But because your neighbor loves another man, or because your neighbor loves another woman, they going to hell. Like, what? Girl, meanwhile, your husband over here with Sister Beulah over here. Like, come on, stop. So I don't have it to do. Like, I remember my sister got married. Her best friend's mom, I was sitting next to her, and we were talking about, because she got married in August. So yeah, so we were talking about the holidays, and she was saying something about Thanksgiving, which I'm looking like, girl, honey, you as a black woman should not be celebrating Thanksgiving, honey. That's genocide. You should not be celebrating it. But anyway, so I was explaining to her about, how I am with holidays or what have you. And I was like, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. When it comes to that fourth Thursday in November, it's Remembrance Day for me. Because it's not only the fact that, my great uncle was able to trace us back all the way to our tribe in Senegal, but he was able to trace our the what do I want to say, the cocktail side of us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm not about to fucking celebrate Thanksgiving. Like, that was the trying to erase my family. You know what I'm saying? And then we're talking, she was like, so do you celebrate Christmas? Like, she was just, and I just basically was just telling her about like how I am with holidays, and she was just like, that's wrong. It's celebrating Jesus. I'm looking like, Jesus wasn't born in December. Like, what do you like read? You can literally read the, like, girl, like, so I honestly, I had to, again, think for myself. And it's like no disrespect to my mom, no disrespect to my grandmother, my family, but it's just like that, again, that's your path. But this is my path. I'm more spiritual than I am religious. And, I'm about to marry someone who grew up Muslim and practices Buddhism. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and we chant together. So it's, and I have, again, I'm not apologizing for it. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember I was having a conversation with my mom, we were driving back from New York, and I was talking to her about the moon, about connecting with Grandmother Moon, and she was fascinated by that, because she was just like, huh? Like, but again, and I've had some of my friends who are very, very in the church. They're like, well, that's idolatry. You are, what are you talking about? Like, the moon is literally right there. Like, Grandmother Moon like controls like the tides and girl, no. Like, no, like, what are you talking about? And at the end of the day, the creator is in the moon. Come on. We ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna preach today, honey. I ain't gonna do it today.
Well, those are the same, that's the same society that also, says that, well, we're idolizing the moon, yet you're idolizing Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ was just a human being that was actually going out and prophesying what God created him to do. You know what I mean? And we are definitely a representation. We can all be, philosophers, we can all be teachers, we can all be a representation of what God is. We are a representation of God. And that looks very different for a lot of people. And this is why, these conversations are really important, because we're not here to convince anybody to believe a specific thing. We're
No,
just really here to have a conversation and to really be able to express ourselves in ways that we can teach people that even though we all, again, have different belief systems and different philosophies, that we can have an educated conversation and just like, maybe adopt some of these belief systems as our own. But it really is important for you to go on your own journey, to
mm-hmm.
experience your own path, and to like really create your own ideas of what God is, or what your purpose looks like, and even what alignment might be to you, because what alignment might look like for me is not going to be the same thing as it is for you.
Right.
So that is really important. Aside from your spiritual practices or your grounding practices, what type of advice would you give somebody who is seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
Um, embrace your inner child, um, and also face your shadow self and embrace your shadow self, because everyone has a light and a dark within them, and your dark, your quote unquote dark is your shadow self. Um, those are like, honestly, those are honestly the two main things, because within both of those things there's levels within them, right? um and as you win one level, you level up to the next, you know what I'm saying? So that, honestly, that would be my advice. That would be my main advice. um and also try and be true to who the fuck you are. Like you were saying, like, it's a lot of people, like, the one thing of like Instagram, let's just follow Instagram. Um, people think they potentially know me, but I'm looking like, fam, you got maybe this amount of glance into who the hell I am. So you're probably like, oh yeah, she's kind of kooky, she's weird, she loves fashion, she loves the universe, she loves her family, she loves her friends, she's not. Uh-oh. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a text message from one of my credit cards like, yeah girl, you gotta, anyway. uh, um but it's like, people a lot of people I'm yeah, a lot of people believe who the fuck their online presence is, and I'm like, but is it true to who you are? I would say, from my friends, my coterie of people that are in my life, who they are on Instagram is who they truly are in life. But it's
Mhm.
a lot of people who unfortunately are not.
Yes.
And I would want them to look at that, and you never know, if you truly embrace who the fuck you are, what the how the universe is gonna respond. It's gonna open up beyond, because it's like, people out here fronting like, you know, oh, I got this bag, I got da 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 da, but then you just took it back to the store. So it's like, you automatically have this mentality of, I'm not supposed to have the things that I want. So have this abundance mentality. So the universe is not going to give back to you the opportunity to be able to make that reality. See what I'm saying? So that's just honestly, those are the things that I would say. Those are the things that I would say.
Absolutely. And you're right. Yeah, especially we live in a digital media age where everybody's trying to curate a life oftentimes that isn't a reflection of what they live on a personal, on a day-to-day basis. And
Mhm,
it is important for us to be really careful on what it is that we're seeking, or who we're being influenced by, who we're being
mhm,
inspired by, and really, getting to know people for who they are in reality, like in real life, and understanding that, yes, although we live in a physical world, that we are spiritual beings living a human experience, and that we have the opportunity to create whatever we want to create, and that we have a unique blueprint that is designed specifically for ourselves. So our life isn't
mhm.
meant to look like anybody else's. I mean, we can be inspired by it for sure, but to, try to be like somebody else because we love the life that they're living, you have no idea what they've had to go through to have the life that they have, the
Facts.
sacrifices that have been made. You know what I mean? Like the risks that we've had to take,
Mhm,
and the moves that we've had to make. I know firsthand that, all the moves that you've made, all the sacrifices that you've made, the changes that you've had, even the losses, the vulnerability, the transparency that you've had to have to be able to be at this place, to be so sure of yourself. That takes a lot of experience, and it takes a lot of time, to get to that place. So I really appreciate, you taking the time to be here, Zoe. I really appreciate your vulnerability, your transparency, and honestly, all that you're creating. I'm going to put Zoe's website below this video, her Instagram, where you can take a look into the life of, because the amazing creations that this woman is, just cultivating is such a beautiful thing. And it's so beautiful to be a creative and to really embrace your vision, your visionary side,
right,
because we all have a very unique blueprint, and we all need to be creating something beautiful. We all have a different perspective. We all have something very unique to give to, and to bring to this world, to make it a
right.
better place, to make it a
Yeah.
colorful place, to make it a
Mhm,
place of kindness, right?
right.
With that, do you have any finishing statements?
Um, I would say whatever you've been putting off, just do it. Because a lot of, unfortunately, some people are living in fears. They're like, oh, well, people may not understand it. Just do it. As long as, and also when I say just do it, as long as it's not harming someone else's peace, just do it. Because like I don't want people to be like, she said just do it and then go, just go stomp your little brother out. Like, no, just don't just do that. Like, no, I didn't say that. But as long as it is not interrupting someone else's peace, it's not it's not you're not exacting violence against someone else's peace, body, mind, soul, spirit. Just do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So
Don't be afraid. That's beautiful, Nick. Thank you, Zoe, for that finishing statement, because it's true. We are inundated in this society with so much fear. With that, it brings a lot of self-doubt, a lot of noise, and a lot of disruptions in our life that oftentimes don't need to be there. And
nope.
it's so important that we connect with ourselves, that we're not harming ourselves, because when we are harming ourselves, oftentimes we're harming other people. And, in return, that creates just a lot of negativity within our own life, and also doesn't allow us to really see clearly into what our own purpose and, divinity really is.
Right.
And so with this, I, leave you with this statement, is that you are a divine being, and you are here for a higher purpose. You are here to really infect our society and the vicinities, right, of your own neighborhood, your own world. You are a creator of your own world, to be at peace, you know, to just really fulfill what your creator has brought you here. And, you know, um, if you're experiencing any pain, that's okay. That pain is here to bring you information so that, you know, tomorrow you can start brand new and you can create that life that you were designed to live. And we are here just to remind you that you have a purpose and you are here to do amazing things. So until we meet again, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for your time.